guys, so I wanted to do a video specifically on my 31st birthday. Real quickly, I'm gonna go through everything I did on my birthday week. Yes, I did something basically every day. And then I thought it'd be fun to go over 31 things that I've learned in my life thus far. But anyways, let's just get into this video. So on Monday evening, I went to a restaurant called K-Pot, which is a mixture of Korean barbecue and hot pot. They have this deal where if it's your birthday week and you go with 3 or more friends, birthday girl gets to eat for free. And I literally just went with 3 other friends that night, so I ate for free. So then Tuesday, I actually met with some of my mom friends from church, and we went to this restaurant that has a playground. That is something I really appreciate as a mother. Wednesday was my actual birthday, so I decided that I wanted to go to the beach, but not like super far away. So we went to a local beach called Sandy Point Beach. Okay, so it's my birthday!
Happy birthday!
And it was perfect. So this was kind of like our only legit beach trip, if that's even what you want to call it. And it was really fun. The only thing I was nervous about was there were a bunch of jellyfish warning signs, and they had this little Bayside grill where you could eat concession stand food. So like pizza, and they had funnel cakes. I had a lot of fun. I'm at my peak happiness when I'm just spending time with my family, like my husband and my 2 kids. So that was amazing. Oh, and then I forgot to mention, but Matt actually always makes me a birthday song every year. It's tradition, but this one is by far the best song he's ever done. So hopefully I can insert that here.
31. It's my wife's birthday and we're headed to the beach and we're gonna have some fun. 31. I heard about the jellyfish in the water and I really hope I don't get stung. 31. We got Jerry and Sam in the bag. Glorious, relax, we're on the right track. As a matter of fact, I take that right back. The jellyfish stung daddy in his butt crack. He made a weird face, can't help but react. The kids are laughing, you don't understand. Mommy's got her phone out, Instagram in hand. The jellyfish stung daddy in his butt crack.
Okay, but on Thursday, that's when I spent time with Matt's family, and we went to a hibachi girl / sushi spot. Okay, it's the day after my birthday and we're still celebrating it. And it was awesome because they had all you can eat sushi for only $17.95. And they also had hibachi, but like I felt like the show was what it was all about.
1, 2, 3.
And I really wanted my kids to see the like cooking show, so I really am glad that we did that. It was really fun. And when they do the fire thing, the heat is so strong. Wow, that was good. I just had a blast there. It was perfect. Then on Saturday, I actually went to brunch with some of my church friends. We sat outside and it was just perfect. They had these 2 charcuterie boards. One was sweet and one was savory. They were each like $37, but honestly, it was worth it. It was so good just hanging out with them. And then the best thing happened. I didn't record it, but like they all decided to say something they love about me on my birthday, and I actually started crying when I was there. It just felt really good, and I was like really grateful for them. So the last day to celebrate my birthday was that Sunday, and that's when I met with my immediate family, and Matt came and we had a simple celebration. I don't have any video footage of that, but it's always fun to get the family together. Yeah, so that was my birthday week, and I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of that. But now I want to get into the 31 things that I learned throughout my life, and this is not really in any particular order. Yeah, I just kind of wrote a list and I'm gonna try to go through it well, and I hope this doesn't take too long, but let me know if you enjoy this, and I hope you do. So here are 31 things that I've learned in my life thus far that are very important to me. Okay, so number 1, how you feel about yourself is how you and others will perceive you. So this one I'm really passionate about, which is why it's probably the first one. My husband told me one of his friends once told him that affirmations are really important, not just because it's good to say I am beautiful, I am strong, but because I am is literally God. So like in the Bible, God refers to himself as I am, like he just is, like you know what I mean? So if you're speaking I am, you're already speaking God. Like you are literally speaking words of love and truth. So because that's what God is. So if you say I am beautiful, I am smart, I am kind, those are not just corny little affirmations. They are truths that you're speaking over yourself. So in that same regard, if you're saying I am ugly or I am stupid, you're legitimately not just in a, oh, don't say that to yourself, that's not kind. No, you are legitimately harming yourself because you are speaking truth over yourself and you are becoming those I am affirmations. So as corny as it may seem, it is actually very, very important to say those things out loud. And I actually have a Bible verse. In Proverbs 18:21, it says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits." Our words are so powerful. And again, it's not something corny, it's actually biblically based. And if you don't like believe in God, or if you're not Christian, these are just my beliefs. So you could listen to it, take it, or leave it, or just like hear and be like, oh, that's nice. But it's just like what I'm sharing with you guys. But basically, I believe that our words are so much more powerful than we think. Because if we're created in God's image, and what he says is, like what he said, who he is, and what he says is. It just is what it is type of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. But basically, he speaks and then it is, right? So he says, let there be light. There's light. It's just like he speaks and it is permanent forever. So we're human, we're not God. So the words we say don't necessarily become truth. However, if we're made in his image, the words that we say matter and they hold weight. So you can't just go around saying words thinking that they have emptiness to them. Like all words have weight. So the words that we say to ourselves have to be good. And even if you don't believe it, like, oh, like I'm not beautiful. Like if you think that you're not beautiful, you still have to say it because eventually you will believe it and you become the identity that you believe that you are. So it is good to look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am tough. And then you can even say biblical affirmations like, I am a child of God. I am wonderfully and beautifully crafted. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but I truly believe that our words hold weight, and that goes beyond just like our personal affirmations and what we say about ourselves. That is really important when we talk to others. Obviously, whatever you say to others, it could literally change their life. Certain words that we say to people resonate with them and they can't forget about it, whether it's good or bad. So we just have to be very, very mindful of the words that we say. And just to always remember to speak truth or good words. And even if you don't follow the Bible, like that should be a no-brainer that is just how we should be, because words can lift us up or they can bring us down. So yeah, I believe that being nice to ourselves is not a corny thing. It's like a real thing that we need to do so that we can be our better selves. Okay, so I made this another point, but it's actually still the same point. So what we say matters. The example that I brought up with that is like plants, for example. So, or like rice and water, if you guys have ever seen those examples on YouTube. So basically, people have done studies where they'll talk nicely to plants or they will talk negatively towards a plant and see how it affects their growth. So like, oh, you're so beautiful. You're growing so well. Like, I love the colors of your petals versus like, oh, you're so ugly. I hate you. You know what I mean? And it literally will affect the way that that plant grows. Or I've even seen studies on like water, even talking to water. Like water doesn't necessarily have mind, body, soul, spirit. But when they looked at the water and like the way it crystallized into like a snowflake, if you spoke good words to it, it would like be such a beautiful, it would basically be like a snowflake, really close up zoom of the water. It would look so beautiful. But the ones that had words that were negatively spoken to them, it would look ugly and just distorted. And that's just proof that like everything around us, even the things that you can't see, the things that you wouldn't even think about, and we are actually mostly water. So if we have water inside of us, I mean, if you want to think of it that way, based off the example I said, you have to speak kindly to yourself because you don't want those waters to be looking ugly, those little crystallized droplets in your body. You want them to be like thriving and pretty and beautiful. And the inward self will outshine and your beauty will literally shine on you. This is not like to be cheesy, it's just truth. And there are studies on it, so it is truth. I've even seen as far as a plant in a room where there's classical music playing versus a plant in a room where there's metal heavy stuff playing. And I'm not trying to like say don't listen to this type of music. I'm just saying like the good vibrations of like good, calming, beautiful classical music versus the heavy, hard vibrations, it did actually affect how the plant grew. But anyways, you guys can do this research on your own. It's something I'm really passionate about. And let me know if you're interested in me actually putting it to the test. I've always been wanting to do this experiment because I believe that words are so powerful, but I even wanted to take a step further and see if our thoughts, because I don't believe that our thoughts are void or they, even if you think something, it will go empty. I wonder if, don't think I'm crazy, you think something negatively about something that you are intentionally speaking negatively towards will crumble somehow. So let me know if you want me to do that experiment. I would probably do it for longer than a month, but that is something I've always wanted to do. So wow, that was a long number 1, but here we are, and I'm going to number 2 next. Okay, so the second thing I have learned or want to make a point about is to never flake on your promises and be sure when you make a promise. And by promise, I don't necessarily mean like something grand. I mean even like the little things. So like over time, like through texting friends and just like, you know, natural life things. These could be little examples, but I think they're kind of important over time. So if someone's like, are you free to hang out on Wednesday? And you reply like, I'm not sure yet, I'll let you know. But then you never follow up on the I'll let you know. Not that the other person's keeping tabs, but like over time, if you just keep saying that and maybe you don't fulfill the promise, that's why I'm saying this, because it's not like a huge grand one. It can add up and it can make you unreliable. Or something like, oh, can you pray for me? And then you say, yeah, I'll pray for you. And then you don't. Like there's this Bible verse, it's from Ecclesiastes 5:4, and it says, it is better not to vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. So basically, yeah, it's better to just not say anything at all, or to not even like give false hope than to tell them, yes, I will be there, and then you're not there. Now, of course, life happens, but with good intentions and commitment from us, like we have to stick to our word as good as possible. And so like it starts in the small things. So if someone asks you that and you're kind of in a time crunch, but you don't want them to feel like they're being ignored, you can say something like, when I get back home, I'll look at my calendar and let you know. Or sometimes I'll just straight up, before I even say I'll let you know, I'll just look at my calendar and then make the commitment right then and there. Like, yes, I will meet with that person, even if something else comes along, as long as it's not life-threatening. So that's like one of the things that I've been trying, and I just feel like it creates for like more reliability, if that makes sense, and just consistency in who you are as a person and your loyalty to people, if that makes sense. Which kind of connects to my next point, which is number 3, and it is people prefer decisive people. So I would definitely consider myself to be quite indecisive. Like when I'm at a restaurant, I never know what to eat or I don't know what to wear, stuff like that. But the reason why I say that is because going off that same example, like, oh, do you want to hang out this day? And then you say, I think I can make it. Like there's literally no point in saying I think. You either know or you don't know. And then to follow up on that, if someone's like, oh, okay, let's eat somewhere. Where do you want to eat? I feel like past me would have been like, oh, I don't know. It's up to you. I'm cool with whatever. But I almost feel like if it's an open-ended question where they're asking where you want to eat, you can just tell them where you want to eat. If you feel like that's too forward, I'm throwing out bad fast food restaurant example names just for the sake of the video. You could just say like, oh, do you want to go to McDonald's? Like, I would love to go there. It makes it easier and faster and less like pressure. Because sometimes when people ask like, where do you want to meet or what do you want to do? They would rather have you answer. And so sometimes it makes it harder when you say like, oh, I don't care. I'm flexible. It's up to you. Sometimes we want to seem like we're like the go with the flow chill people. But sometimes I feel like if they're asking, it's better to just be like this. And you can be like, hey, I've been craving some McDonald's, but I'm open to whatever you want to. You can say that after you give them a decision, or be like, hey, you feeling McDonald's or Taco Bell? I know these are small examples. Again, I get it. These are not big deal things, but I always believe in the small things. It kind of like adds up and it can flow into like bigger life things, but I just feel like it's best to be decisive and sure. That's how I feel. Okay, number 4. Okay, this one I'm weirdly passionate about. So I feel like everyone says, hey, like, I'm so sorry, I'm so bad at names, I don't think I'm gonna remember it, but it's nice to meet you. Okay, so my number 4 is don't be bad at names. I know that sounds so silly, but what I mean by that is every time you're at an overwhelming event where there's so many people, right? Or you're at church and you're meeting someone for the first time. This is just things that happen to me. And you say, hey, what's your name? My name is Glory. What's your name? And then they say their name and then you immediately forget it, like on the spot. And then it's easy for people to be like, yeah, I'm so bad at names, like when they see each other again. But this bothered me so much because I heard a quote by Daniel Carnegie, so you guys might know this, and it's from this book that both Matt and I read and we loved. The quote that he said is, a person's name is to him or her the sweetest and most important sound in any language. I absolutely love that quote because it's true. When you hear your name, you kind of, not that you like get delighted, but like sometimes literally if someone says your name, like your significant other, your friend, or someone recognizes you when they're like giving an announcement in a good way, like your name, you are alert, you hear it, you feel heard, you feel seen. It's just so important to you, whether you think your name is appealing or not. What I am trying to say is that your name is special to you because it has a sense of like seenness, like you're seen, you're known. And so I do believe that it is the most beautiful sound that anyone can hear in their life. And so when we say like, I'm so bad at names, what's your name again? Or, oh, I'm gonna forget your name, but it's nice to meet you. Like that kind of stuff really bothers me because I don't think it's that we're bad at remembering names. I think, and he kind of said this in the book, that we don't really care enough to want to know their name. And the way I can kind of like put this into perspective is if someone told you like, hey, if you remember my name within the next 10 minutes, I'll give you $100. Yeah, you're gonna remember the name. So like, hey, my name is Glory. And then 10 minutes later, hey, do you remember my name? If they said I'll give you $100, yeah, you're gonna remember it. So it's not that you're not good at remembering, you just kind of choose, I don't want to say choose not to remember, but maybe it's not that important to you. So over time, I would actually be so interested in this and I would do some research. And there's actually a lot of methods to learning names. Like, first of all, the most important thing is that you have to be intentional. When you're about to meet someone, you have to think to yourself, I'm gonna remember their name. And there could be a lot of people, it could be someone with their significant other and 5 friends. Yeah, that's gonna be hard, but it's gonna be easier if you're more intentional. I met someone named Ben once, and I know this sounds really silly, but I try to think what rhymes with Ben? Hen. When he said, my name is Ben, I literally imagined a hen on his head. And for some reason, ever since then, I remember that his name was Ben. And listen, I know that's so silly, but that's what a lot of people say on YouTube, how to remember names. You got to kind of rhyme it with something or like envision, because a lot of us are visual. So it just kind of helps us to remember things and pair it with things rather than just like nothing. So you can always like maybe a feature on them that sticks out, or like long hair and their name is Jennifer. You can just think, oh, Jennifer with the generously long hair. I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but like for some reason Jennifer with a generously long hair will stick with you more than if she just said Jennifer. And I can practice and say what I preach is true, because over the past 3 or 4 years I've been really into this. I would do that and it would become almost like a habit where I wouldn't even think anymore. And I kid you not, now when people tell me their name, I just remember it like that. And I used to be one of those people that say I'm really good at faces, but I'm really bad at names. Like, how many people say that? Now when I meet people, I literally remember their name. I don't even always try the tactic of like doing the rhyme thing. Sometimes I do, but I don't know. It's just like, I feel like genuinely when you practice something over and over again, it becomes a part of you, almost not like a habit, but like you care more. So like if you go in with the intention of like, oh, I really care about you as a human being from person to person, I want to know your name, I know it's special to you, then you just remember it. It's something I take a lot of pride in. Now, yes, I do forget sometimes, and it really bothers me when I forget. I'm not always gonna remember. That's something I'm really weirdly, oddly passionate about, and I hope you guys learned a little bit here and there about that. I'm looking at the time. I have already been filming for like 30 minutes, so I might have to split this into 2, but let me know so far if you enjoy this, and let me know in the comments. But I'm gonna continue with point number 5. Okay, so this one might sound cliche, but it is a truth. So being confident in yourself is your most attractive quality. So what I mean by that, and it's obvious, right? When we wear confidence, it will literally beam from us as if you're literally wearing something and people are like, know that you're confident. So I have 2 like silly small examples. I was talking to this one girl once, like one of my friends back in high school, and she kept covering her face when she was talking to me. She was just like, yeah, I'm just tired. And like, I could tell she was bringing attention to something. And when her hand lifted, I just saw this like really, really big pimple. And I mean, that is normal. Like we all go through that. But like, because she was just like covering it, it just magnified it more. Like I could tell she was trying to cover something. She was very insecure. And there's another example of a girl that I knew. She had this like brace, something on her nose that was just like, because she got injured, and she didn't bring any attention to it. And she was like so confident, like she acted as if it wasn't there, like never was like, oh yeah, I hurt my nose, like sorry for the thing. Like people will bring attention to stuff, but like I didn't even really notice it, and it somehow made her like prettier. I can't really explain, but like she just like rocked it. She completely rocked the look and didn't bring attention to it. And I just think that that's more admirable, and anything you bring attention to, like people will see. So I just feel like you gotta rock confidence, rock the way you look, like your flaws, everything. Like you can kind of tell, people can tell when you are insecure about your physical qualities or when you're not. Like it's just something that you literally wear. So your confidence is truly your most attractive quality, like physically at least, and obviously internally, but I'm just saying like everything that you think here will come out physically for other people to see. So I just want you guys to be confident in yourself. I think everyone's always working on that, but I'm way more confident in myself than I was when I was in high school and stuff. So yeah, that's something I really believe in. Okay, number 6. So number 6 is really interesting to me. So have you guys ever heard of the quote, "A little birdie told me"? So I was actually mind blown, I think 2 years ago, when I realized that's not just a quote for nothing. It came from the Bible. So let me read the Bible verse. So this is from Ecclesiastes 10:20. NIV version says, "Do not revile the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird in the sky may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say." Okay, so I know that might not be mind-blowing to some of you guys, but for me, I never knew that a little birdie told me is usually when like you hear gossip and stuff. But like to know that that's been referenced from the Bible is actually insane to me, because that means there's truth. In my opinion, that means there's truth behind that. So gossiping about people, even if it's behind closed doors, it is warning you in the Bible to not do that, because somehow, some way, that truth might get revealed. I've heard of instances, people talking, I'm not saying this is how it's always gonna happen, but like someone talking about another person negatively, like gossiping about them, and they accidentally like butt dialed that person, and they were listening in and hearing everything they said. So like, that's just like a small example of like, don't talk about people behind their back, because somehow, some way, it will get to them, especially if you're gossiping to someone. There's a really good chance that the person you're gossiping to will actually literally tell that person that you gossiped about what you said. So the thing that tripped me out about this though, it says even in your thoughts. So clearly there's warning not only to speak physically negatively, ill will towards people, but also in your thoughts. Because like I said again about like me thinking negative about that rice, like I really believe there's something there that like you can't just be safe in your thoughts, like think negatively about someone and that not do something. Like I feel like we really do live in a spiritual world and there's just stuff going on. So like when you think negative things, you are adding on to the weight of that person you're thinking of, and they're being attacked by your thought. I don't want to say that to that degree because I don't know, but I do believe there's so many things unseen that affect us all the time. Yeah, just think about signals. The fact that we can even call and you're not literally seeing the waves or the signals like to people that we're speaking to on the other side of the world. Like it's possible for things going on in here to affect, I'm not saying like, oh, you can move that house and whatever. I'm just saying like, be careful what you're thinking, not just what you're saying about people. You really kind of have to correct your thoughts all the time. Okay, number 7. I kind of wish I did these in order because some of these kind of bleed into another point next, but it's not. That's okay. Number 7 kind of goes with my point 5, and that is no one cares about how you look as much as you do. And that might be obvious, but I feel like that should play into us not really caring that much about what we think about ourselves, because yes, like people have opinions, they might say mean things about you online, publicly, or to your face, but at the end of the day, no one actually cares about how you look as much as you do. So the things that we're focusing so much on, like, oh, I feel like I don't like this about myself, my nose, my lips, my eyes, my hair, whatever, my body. Someone might have an opinion about those things, but there's a really good chance that they also really don't care because they're caring more about their looks. So like when you take a group picture, obviously when it's being revealed what the group picture is, all you're looking at is yourself. Like, what do I look like in that photo? No one's thinking like, oh, what does she look like in that photo? I mean, maybe, but like, we really only care that much what we look like. So point blank is don't spend so much effort trying to just improve your looks all the time, because it's really not benefiting others. Because even if you were on top and you were this most beautiful, gorgeous person, it's not like other people are like, wow, and then they're thinking about it all day, all the time. Like it might just be a passing thought, but it's really not going to affect their lives. So like, what does that gain? Like, I feel like we should take care of ourselves because our bodies are temples. So that's hygiene. And I do think appearance, like you want your temple to be well taken care of, what you eat and being healthy. But when it becomes obsessive and we're really only thinking about our looks, like that's when it's just like overboard, too much. No one's really caring that much. And sometimes the more you do to yourself, like it might come off more vain, or yeah, I'm not trying to judge. I just like don't want people to fall into this trap of feeling like they gotta look so good or amazing all the time, because at the end of the day you kind of do that for other people sometimes when it becomes obsessive, and it doesn't have to be that way because not really caring that much about that in the first place. So you don't want to waste your time. Okay, number 8 is that I learned that your anxiety or mental thoughts or illness or health will basically manifest through you physically if you don't take care of it. When I say manifest, I don't mean that in a weird way. I just mean like you can't just like be stuck in your thoughts about these negative things and not expect it to affect you physically. So how I have experienced this is my anxiousness or feeling of guilt and shame when I feel like the enemy is attacking me for something, like a decision I made or something, or a thought that I had. If it doesn't get dealt with, which many times I would not like maybe talk about it or just sweep it under the rug, it will create a physical response because you're not dealing with it. So for example, for me, that can be tightness of chest, shallow breathing, feeling like I can't catch a good breath. You might have different physical symptoms that happen, but it's all kind of related because mind, body, soul, and spirit all are intertwined. And so you really have to take care of this and this, but they're connected. So you can't really neglect one and then expect the other to be good. You always have to remember that your whole body, that temple, is a unit working together. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. But I've definitely learned that, and I finally have a therapist that I really, really love. And it took me, I probably had at least a handful of therapists that I've tried in my life, maybe like 5, and I wouldn't say anything bad about them, but I feel like I've never found the right one until now, and I feel finally really good about that. So that can take time, and I feel like I've already learned so much in those sessions, and it's finally helping me help this, which is helping the tightness in return and like the breathing. So yeah, that's been really important to me and something really valuable that I've learned. Okay, number 9. So going off of that, something that I learned through my therapist is that you are not at the mercy of your thoughts. What I mean by that is I really would struggle sometimes about my intrusive thoughts or just thoughts that I would have where I would feel like terrible for thinking that or like I'm a bad person. And when I spoke to my therapist, she said, you're not at the mercy of your own thoughts. You have the decision to control whether you are going to think about that or not. So it's kind of like switching channels is the example she gave me. Like you can watch what's on TV or you can literally take the remote and switch a channel. So let's just say you have an intrusive thought. That could be something that you say, like, tell yourself, hey, I'm not going to think about this anymore. I'm going to think about something good. Because in the Bible, it says, take every thought captive to obey Christ. I mean, there's different variations of that. That's from Corinthians 10:5. But basically, when you have a thought, even if it's good, but like, I'm talking about the bad ones, you have to hold it captive, like, get it, and then be like, I'm not going to think about this. And even if I do think about it, I'm going to train my mind to try to think about something else. And in fact, something good. So it's definitely a thing that kind of will happen over time. I'm still learning it. But when I first tried this out, it's kind of challenging, but I found myself actually learning how to really avoid certain thoughts that were negative. And I don't know if it's coincidence, but I felt my breathing get lighter. Like that's something I've struggled with like all my life. I went to the doctors thinking there was something wrong with my breaths. Lo and behold, I think it's just anxiety, guilt and shame and stuff like that. But yeah, she really helped me understand that I don't have to be obedient to all the thoughts that I come in my head. Like, how many thoughts do we think about in our lives? I think there's like a fact. And it's like, not every thought is always your own. Sometimes it's Satan, or sometimes it's just random. Sometimes it's just based off of something we saw that we didn't want to see on the news, and you blame yourself for that. But you don't have to linger on the thoughts that you have or think that it makes you a bad person, if that makes sense. So that's something that I've recently learned, and I'm really grateful for that, and I really hope that can help you guys too. I have 19 minutes left on this card, so hopefully I can get through these points. But we are at number 10. Wow, I don't know if I'll be able to get to 31. Wow, okay, so I just realized I accidentally copy and pasted all my thoughts. So I thought I had 31, but I actually only have 16. Okay, so I'm gonna try to finish this out because I realize I have way less than I do. So number 10, some relationships you're gonna have to pursue, and some others, they'll pursue you. So I don't wanna say that this is an absolute fact, but this is true in my life. I've learned to be okay with it and to love it. So there are some friendships that I have when I reflect in my life where they pursued me from the beginning. Like they were like, hey, like, wanna go here? Let's hang out over here. And then they would be the ones checking on me. And then over time, it would be kind of mutual. But in the beginning, I've had some friendships where I've kind of like pursued them, and I would be the one to go out of my way and be like, hey, I'm just checking in on you. How are you? Or like, hey, you wanna hang out over here? Or like invite them places. And I think it just goes both ways. I don't feel like you should always be the one being pursued in friendships. Relationships with like significant other, that's a different topic. I'm talking about mostly friendships. I think a lot of times we desire and want friends, but we also don't want to be the ones to like go out of our way and be the one to pursue. We feel like they kind of have to fall in our lap, but that's not true. I actually struggled with this topic like years ago, not years ago, maybe like 2 years ago. Like I always had my 2 core best friends, but then like I felt like in my life, like closer to me, like living distance wise, like I felt like I kind of lacked that. And so like I would go out of my way to pursue some people, and then in the midst of that there would be like another friend that would pursue me more, and then it eventually becomes mutual, because I don't feel like it's also healthy down the long road if you guys are really close for you to only be the one that's ever like pursuing and checking in, you know what I mean? But in the beginning, I guess is what I'm more so saying, that I feel like is important to remember, that it's not always gonna fall into your lap. You're gonna have to sometimes go out of your way, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because people like that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's just something that I've learned in recent years. Okay, 11. So this is actually based off of a picture of a tweet that I saw on Instagram, and I favorited it, and it said, my therapist once told me, if you don't schedule a break, your body will take one for you, and it probably won't be at a very convenient time. So I love that, because I really do believe that God created us to need rest. And some of us are just like, go, 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 hustle, busy, I can't do it, I have too many things on my agenda. But you need breaks, you need rest, and I need that. That is something I've really struggled with. I feel like I cannot stand still. I feel like it's a waste of time if I'm taking a nap or if I'm just doing something that's not productive. But even in creation, God has a day of rest. And I feel like that's a really important reminder that even though he doesn't need rest, he's kind of reminding us in the beauty of his creation, it's good to have rest and restoration. So for me, a really common one is Sundays as a rest day. Some people have like call it a Sabbath day. You can make that Saturday, you can make that a Wednesday. But for me, I do like Sunday, because on Sunday I'm not really working. I'm just going to church, and then when I come home, I don't try to be like so strict to the point where I feel guilty if I do anything else, because I have dealt with that in the past. But I make sure I don't do anything. I make sure I don't work. I'm not editing a video, or I'm not doing anything that's really strenuous or like labor, whatever. Even like chores, like I try to do that mostly on Saturday, because I do want to a start to a good week on a Monday. But yeah, I try to give myself that Sabbath day. So again, whether you believe in this or not, the Bible, I still believe it's good practice to have rest. So not just within your week, but even within your day, you should have some periods of rest. You can't just keep going. Otherwise you will break. And just like the quote said, it will probably be at an inconvenient time where you just lose it and your body forces the rest on you. So whether that's sickness, and I've definitely gotten sick from just like constantly doing and not giving my body a break, or other ways of just like having a breakdown. So that is very important. Okay, number 12. This is something that I just truly believe, that all good stories mimic the story of Jesus Christ and what he did for us. So what I mean by that is, like, I feel like when you watch a really, really good movie in the movie theaters, or you hear a really good story in a book, like, it's always about something very redemptive. And the story of Jesus Christ is 100% redemptive. God came down in human form as Jesus to save us from our sins so that we can have eternal life. So it's so redemptive, because we don't need to do anything to earn his love and his salvation. It's more about believing in him and what he did for us as a relationship that saves us, instead of us feeling like we're bound by rules and laws. So a little funny example I have is Beauty and the Beast, the live action movie with Emma Watson. I was bawling my eyes out at the end of the movie because, spoiler alert, even though everyone should have watched Beauty and the Beast by now. Not necessarily live action, but it's the same. But it's such a good story, because all of these people, by the end, they're just like, everything's black and dark and gray, black and white, but then they're being redeemed to this beauty and they're being set free. And that's kind of how I see like the world is right now. There's good things too, don't get me wrong, but it's just like a fallen world. It's dark and gray, and when we meet our Father in heaven and we go to our home, it's gonna be free and peaceful and beautiful. And that's just, I feel like every good movie I've ever watched or story I've read, it's always redemptive. Like there's always like in Lion King, you know, Scar is bad, like all the food was gone and stuff, but then Simba comes back, he redeems everyone and he fights for what's good, and then all of a sudden it's like so much better again, and the circle of life continues. It's just like every good story out there mimics the story of Jesus Christ, because I just feel like his story is the one that trumps everything, and that's how people write good stories, is if it's like redemption in it, if that makes sense. I don't know, that might be a crazy off the wall one, but that's just something I've learned. Number 13 is people just want to be heard and understood. So I feel like everyone wants to feel heard and understood. I know I just said that, but it's just so true. I feel like when you're talking with someone, you have to really listen to them and not always relate it back to yourself. You know, I feel like when people ask for advice or are going through something hard, a really common thing for us naturally to want to do is to either fix their problem or to relate it back to, oh yeah, that I went through that and this is what I did. Sometimes they don't want that. Sometimes that doesn't always help the situation. Sometimes it's better to just be a listening ear, to speak slowly, to listen quickly. That's also from the Bible. And be there for the person and just really hear the angle they're coming from. Even if it might be like a lifestyle or something you disagree with, I feel like it's so important to make sure they feel heard, because they are a valuable person who's made by God. So nothing they feel shouldn't be validated, whether it's true or not. Their feelings are real. And I feel like if you want to be a really good friend or have a good relationship to someone, you have to hear them and understand your best way to be empathetic towards them. Even if that's something you struggle with, the best way you can start is to just hear and not speak too much, if that makes sense. So that's something I've been trying to practice more over the past few years. All right, so we are at 10 minutes left. Okay, this is kind of a short point, but my 14th point is when you open up first about being vulnerable, this creates a space where someone can be vulnerable to you. So I think, again, it's really important to step out of your comfort zone and sometimes just let someone in, not just anyone, but just like, you know, in a trusted environment, to let someone in on what you're going through. And it kind of plays on like conversations. So if someone's like, hey, how are you? Rather than just be like, hey, I'm good, fine, thank you, how are you? Sometimes there's not always time for you guys to have a good conversation if you're in passing especially, but when there's moments where someone says, hey, how are you doing? How's your weekend? You know, rather than just saying good, like sometimes you can be vulnerable, like, hey, yeah, I've been fine, but like if I'm being honest, I've been kind of going through something a little hard. And then it can like help open you guys. I feel like the moment there's like, if there was a visible picture of something that happens, the moment you break a wall down and speak, I feel like that opens that person's heart and opens yours as well. So again, you kind of have to feel it out, and it's not always right to just spill the beans or say something to anyone. But in general, I feel like kind of being more intentional about what you're saying in a vulnerable position, it kind of opens for more opportunity for closeness and just goodness and love to flow through. Because if you're just like hard, like, oh yeah, I'm good, like there's just really not more you can tug out of someone who just says that. So that's also something I've been trying to do, is when people say like, oh, how you been? Like the default answer is good, how are you? But I feel like even if it's not something I'm going through, because you don't always have to talk about what you're going through, you could just talk about a general thing. So when someone says, hey, how you doing? I'll be like, good, I've just been prepping for the kids going back to school. Like, so rather than saying good, you speak about a truth going on in your life. It doesn't have to be negative. Like there's opportunity to be vulnerable, but there's also opportunity to just continue conversation. Be like, instead of saying just good, be like, good, I've actually been trying out meal prepping this week and I'm really excited to go home and try my meal for the first time. I know it sounds so random, but you just gotta create room for conversation sometimes, and instead of just saying good and you. So that's another thing that I've learned and been trying to implement. This is kind of another point I want to add. It's not really something I've learned, but just just a way that I've been trying to approach is, so I guess this would be number 16, is it kind of goes with the confidence, but like I've learned to over the years to not end my sentence with and yeah. You know what I mean? So sometimes we can feel awkward when we're saying a story or a point or in front of people and we're having to say something. We kind of be like, yeah, and then I went to the store and I did this and yeah. Or like, yeah, I wanted to share this. So yeah. Like, I know that sounds so silly, but like I would catch myself doing it so much that I would be like, I need to stop. I need to like be more intentional about how I'm going to end a sentence and not say, so yeah. Like it just kind of makes you not as sure of what you're saying and comes off kind of insecure sometimes. I know that's like a really silly point, but that's just something over the years that I've been trying to fix in how I talk. See, if I said and how I talk, so yeah. Rather, I'm trying to like put the emphasis on how I talk, period. You know what I mean? That was a silly one that I added. But my last point is, this is gonna sound cliche, but you are so unique and you are made with purpose. And I have so many passionate reasons as to why I know that that's true. The thing that I'm so passionate about with this is the chances of you being alive are like, let me put the percentage on the screen. It's like basically nothing. No chance that you are sitting here watching this video or even alive. It goes so far back, even to creation. when God created Adam and Eve. I'm just saying, like, for you to be alive, your parents would have had to meet at the exact time that they met, do what they had to do in order for you to be formed. I mean, the chances are so small. There's this image that I love. Hey guys, so I really quickly want to show you guys this picture because it basically shows how rare you are and how special, and the odds of you being alive is basically 0. So it does start with, like, let's start small. What's the probability of your dad meeting your mom? And then it just goes into the chances of that, as well as the egg and the sperm. Like, what were the odds that that exact egg and that exact sperm made you? And then it says 1 in 400 quadrillion. But then even that, it's like, what are the odds that your lineage remain unbroken for the length of human existence? And then odds of the right sperm meeting the right egg 150,000 times. So that does this whole math equation, and it shows you the comparison of what that all kind of amounts to. And this is so interesting. It says, think of it like this. You existing is the probability of 2 million people getting together to play a game of dice with trillion-sided dice. They each roll the dice, and they all come up with the exact same number. So the odds that you exist at all are basically 0. So you should feel important. But the chances are so slim of you even being alive right now. Everything had to happen in perfect timing, even before your parents, before their parents, like for generations, for you to be alive and on this earth. So you have purpose. You were made on purpose. God had a plan for you, has a plan for you. And anytime you feel like your life is worthless or you don't have purpose, just remember that it took a lot for you to even be born and have a chance at life. So try to take that as a reminder that you have purpose and you like are one of a kind, truly. Everyone is so unique and different and special and interesting. Like I'll talk about it with my friends, and even the friends that I have that don't have a social media presence or channel, sometimes I'm like, you would have a really good, I could look at every one of my friends and be like, I could see you going viral just because of how interesting you are. Every single person you know has something interesting about them. And I don't even just mean like extroverted, bubbly people. I mean, even in the mundane or the things that they like or the things that they like to do, if they really showcased who they were truly without like fabricating anything online, like I think any person could literally have a viral channel because everyone is so important. Everyone has a testimony, a special story, a way about them, a unique thing that makes them them, that is so special, and that's you as well. I'm speaking to you watching. But yeah, those are my points. They weren't 31, but if I did 31, this video would be very, very long. I don't know what I was thinking, but I really hope you guys enjoyed. I literally have 3 minutes left on recording time. I don't even know if I'm gonna like this. Please let me know if you enjoyed this. I was really happy to share it, and I'm just really grateful to be 31. That's another point. I'm grateful to age. I just am. Life is so precious. We should not want to stay young. We should always strive. Like another birthday year, we should be so grateful that we even got to live another day, because not everyone gets that chance. So I'm so grateful to be old. Not old. I'm not old. I am not old. But even if I was, like, I'd be so grateful. I want to make it old and gray, and yeah, signs of wrinkles and stuff like that. I don't believe I have any, but like that stuff, like we shouldn't care so much. Like it's really the inner part of us that matters. And I'm so grateful because with age really does come wisdom. Like who I am today is so different from 10 years ago. Obviously that's everyone, but just like with age comes wisdom and more experience, life experience. So it's a great thing to age. So I'm very grateful and I'm not ashamed. And anyways, I hope you guys like this video. It's very different from like my Aldi shopping or DIY crafts. So please give me feedback. Let me know if you like this and if you want more. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.